Okay, since my brother was planning on doing a Twilight Sporking, but he didn't want me to get involved, which is somewhat ironic because when I first read these books, I liked them for 2 months, and now I hate them. Anyway, since then, I have a copy of Twilight, and I've been writing notations in the margin. So, I'm going to be doing my own sporking. Okay? Now, if any haters see these videos and start freaking out, I mean no offense to the fans, I'm just saying I don't particularly like these books. I liked them for 2 months, then I started to hate them. It's been over 2 years since I started to hate them. So, by claiming that I'm not, oh, I didn't get the books, I blah blah blah, you didn't even read the books. I did read the books. The only book I couldn't ever finish was the original Twilight. The rest of them I finished just fine. And I read through them rather speedily, but rereading them, it's one of those things that you can read once and it's okay, and then read the second time, and at least for me, I'm not particularly fond of romance. So I'm actually much more fond of mystery series, not romance novels. So I guess that sort of affected my perception of Twilight by rereading it and going, wait, that makes no sense. That sort of thing. So I'm going to be doing my own sporking. And please, if you flame, I will ignore you, okay? Because I don't want to get into a fight, and I feel no need to get into a fight. They're just a series of books. So, yeah. Without further ado, here is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. First sight. My mother drove me to the airport with the windows rolled down. That should have a comma there, because otherwise it sounds like it's an airport that has windows that have rolled down. And that's just plain old weird. It was 75 degrees in Phoenix, the sky a perfect cloudless blue. I was wearing my favorite shirt, a sleeveless light eyelet lace. I was wearing it as a farewell gesture. My carry-on item was a parka. Yeah, about the parka, just saying, you would probably want, I understand if it's rainy out where you're going to go, you would want that on board with you. That way, you can just put it on before you head out into the rain. But, having only a parka, I imagine that would be very boring just staring at a friggin' parka. And everyone would think you're someone who's escaped from a mental hospital. In the Olympic Peninsula of northwest Washington State, a small town named Forks exists under a near constant cover of clouds. It rains on this inconsequential It rains on this inconsequential town more than any other place in the United States of America. It was from this town and its gloomy, omnipresent shade that my mother escaped with me when I was only a few months old. First off, inconsequential sounds really condescending. It just does. Like, oh, none of those people matter. There's 3,000 people in Forks. And she's pretty much writing them off as, oh, they don't matter. It says, about this rain, she would hate going to Tokyo or Osaka because they get a lot more rain than even Seattle. And the whole thing about gloomy, omnipresent shade is way too it's just overdramatic across the board, because one time I remember going to Seattle because we were visiting our aunt, and it was actually half the time it did rain, and the other half it was sunny. And that was during the summer, but I don't see why, this whole thing is about, oh, I hate the rain. Then why are you going up to the the Olympic Peninsula? It's rainy there quite a lot of the time, so it's like, What the hell's going on there? Anyway. My mother escaped with me when I was only 2 months old. Sounds really overdramatic as well. Like, oh my god, she escaped. The connotations of escaped imply that it was so dreary and oppressive and all that. Anyway. It was in this town I had been compelled to spend a month every summer until I was 14. That was the year I finally put my foot down. These past 3 summers, my dad Charlie vacationed with me in California for 2 weeks instead. That would imply that they're mid or upper middle class of some form, because California, going there for 2 weeks on one person's income would not work out so well. Other things that should be noted is if she's only been there when she was only a few months old and she was only there for the summer, why is it that she hates the rain so goddamn much? Anyway, it was to Forks that I now exiled myself, an action that I took with great horror. I detested Forks. Okay. There's wrong connotations with it being called the Great Horror. Horror, for those of us Resi fans, implies like liquors crawling on the ceiling, everything's set on fire, cars are scattered all across the street, there's zombies munching on the living, there's the nemesis crashing through places just to kill you, along with Mr. X in the police station. Yeah. I loved Phoenix. I loved the sun and blistering heat. I loved the vigorous, sprawling city. Now, blistering has incorrect connotations because you wouldn't normally describe blistering heat as a good thing. That's actually very much like the connotations are bad, because if it's blistering, it's not a very good thing that it's causing people to blister. So if you liked it, you probably wouldn't use that term. Bella, my mom said to me the last of 1,000 times before I got onto the plane. Well, got on the plane. You don't have to do this. Okay, she hates Forks, and she's going anyway, even though she has no reason whatsoever to go. And her mom says she can stay with her. It's not like she's kicking her out or anything. Which is to say that this is pretty much, how should I put it? It's only for the plot. Because S. Meyer can't get her to go up to Forks without having Bella make a really dumb decision or something that she wouldn't like in the first place. Thus, it's a plot hole. My mom looks like me, except with short hair and laugh lines. We don't have any description of Bella so far, so we don't know what Renee even looks like. All we know is that she has shorter hair and laugh lines, and she looks like Bella. And we don't know what Bella looks like. I felt a spasm of panic as I stared at her wide, childlike eyes. How could I leave my loving, erratic, harebrained mother to fend for herself? Of course, she had Phil now, so the bills would probably get paid. There would be food in the refrigerator, gas in her car, and someone to call when she got lost, but still. Then why is it that Charlie doesn't have Bella in his custody rather than Renee? Because you would think, seeing as how Charlie's responsible compared to Renee, you'd think that, oh yeah, that's right, courts are normally biased towards the mother rather than the father, even in cases where the mother's the abusive one, so that's just irony for you, but I don't think S. Meyer thought this through at all. Anyway, I want to go, I lied. I'd always been a bad liar, but I've been saying this lie so frequently lately that it sounds It sounded almost convincing now. Okay, really? Almost convincing means that it's still not convincing. She still can't say the lie without it sounding fake. And also, seriously, why is she going again if she hates the damn place? Tell Charlie I said hi. Well, yeah. Tell Charlie I said hi. I will. I'll see you soon, she insisted. You can come home whenever you want. I'll come right back as soon as you need me. But I could see the sacrifice in her eyes behind the promise. Sacrifice? It just sounds really awkward. Don't worry about me, I urged. It'll be great. I love you, Mom. She hugged me tightly for a minute, and then I got on the plane and she was gone. Saying, and she was gone makes it sound like it's Renee that's leaving. Anyway. It's a 4-hour flight from Phoenix to Seattle, another hour in a small plane up to Port Angeles, and then an hour drive back down to Forks. Flying doesn't bother me. The hour in the car with Charlie, though, I was a little worried about. I'm sorry, this is weird. Charlie had really been fairly nice about the whole thing. He seemed genuinely pleased that I was coming to live with him for the first time with any degree of permanence. He seemed implies that she doesn't think she doesn't think that Charlie is sincere about the whole thing. He'd already gotten me registered for high school and was going to help me get a car. But it was sure to be awkward with Charlie. Neither of us was what anyone would call verbose, and I didn't know what there was to say regardless. Regardless should be moved somewhere else in the sentence because it's a prepositional phrase tacked on the end. And since it's not dialogue, it does not get a free pass. And really, she's been fairly chatty, so I don't get why she would be called verbose. Well, she would call herself verbose, I should say. I knew he was more than a little confused by my decision. Like my mother before me, I hadn't made a secret of my distaste for Forks. Why is she going again? Seriously, you can make a friggin' drinking game out of this. Why is she going again if she hates this place? When I landed in Port Angeles, it was raining. I didn't see it as an omen, just unavoidable. I already said my goodbyes to the sun, which is really overdramatic because you do see the sun in the Olympic Peninsula.